Hey everyone, so in this video I decided to do something a little different than I typically do in terms of exercise. But there is also an artistic side to me, and I figured why not show you this. It's a cool little hobby I do time to time. I like to do custom paints, and what better way than do a Twisted Metal vehicle type video. So I know Twisted Metal isn't as popular as it once was, but regardless, I think they're pretty cool. So I will begin with the first vehicle, which is Crimson Fury, based off from Twisted Metal 1, as you see right here. And all I basically did was I applied a red paint and had to add multiple layers. This first time wouldn't stick. Originally it was a pink car, so Lamborghini, as well as on the back I added a bit of a different red paint to make the differentiate the red between the bright and the dark. And right here also I built this up and painted the same color as well. Then I added the machine guns right here and right there, so to just pull off that nice look. Next I built Darkside from Twisted Metal 1. Now this vehicle on its own was originally green colored, so I had to paint it black, but it had the perfect, aesthetic look to it. Now Darkside in the first game had spikes on the front, so what I did to make it a little better is I added little screws. Just give it that little, intimidating look. And the vehicle on its own really didn't have any detail. It was very plain. This part was black, so I added a bit of a silver shine, as you can see right there. Also here, and I added a little bit of a thing for the thing you attach for a semi truck, a little hook, so to say. And of course painted some machine guns from some old pieces I had, broke it up, glued it on, and then also gave it a silverish kind of paint, give it a metallic flake, and to differentiate it from the black, because originally the machine gun part was also black, so it just looked better. And of course, how do I do the little exhaust pipes? And what I did, I took some screws, but that didn't look realistic, so what I did also was painted the inside right here, so the tips and the tops, and that makes it look like it's an exhaust pipe. So pulled the trick off well. The wheels already, they kind of looked a little rusty, just gave them a light little paint, kind of make them look a little war torn, and maybe some detail what I did right here, as you see. Attached that thing, it was just plain by itself, and that part I took off from a watch. The little rubber part, and overall it pulls off the look pretty well. Next, I made Shadow from Twisted Metal 2. Well, I didn't technically make him because this vehicle on its own was basically already Shadow as it is. He had the black and the purple horse. So I figured this is actually what started the whole project in the first place. I looked at his vehicle and said, this looks pretty cool for a Twisted Metal car. Almost looks like Shadow. All it needs is the guns, so I glued some guns on. Started with this one. You see, it's very simplistic. Didn't really add anything other than just 2 guns on the side. And basically that's how the project kind of got inspired. And I figured, maybe I had some older cars, I can find vehicles. So I didn't pick which ones I want, kind of had to go through and see. But had a decent number of cars, and that's how it started. Next, I made Thumper, also from Twisted Metal 2. Now, of course, the paint was a little bit probably more pink, I would prefer, but it turned out a little purplish. Still functions just as well. And of course, iconically, Thumper always had a purplish pink lowrider and then a white top, especially from the Twisted Metal 2 series. I added the 2 machine guns, of course, on the top. And the rims, they were originally red. I didn't really like them too much. They kind of didn't have the aesthetic, so I tried to go for a lowrider, kind of a West Coast type of look. So I had to actually get a sticker that was white color and kind of draw the rims on it. But actually with the red in that, it really pulled off the look well. And also the back didn't have any lights, and I don't know if you guys can see it. I just added a little bit of a red paint right there and right there, just to pull off the look. And overall it really does look the part, especially from a distance. These vehicles, man, it's almost spot on. Next, I made Mr. Slam, also from Twisted Metal 2, and this one took a little bit of work personally. And yellow was a hard color to work with because you had to add like 3 or 4 layers. It just wouldn't work. It would look greenish on the black, so I would have to paint it paint another layer over and over. But I got the look. This was also more complex because I also had to build it up a bit. But I think I pulled the look off just right. And basically what I did, of course, I put the guns up, gave him a silver paint to kind of make him look a little more realistic and different from the black, otherwise it wouldn't seem. Painted the rims, originally they were silver, so painted them yellow just like from the game. The back, what I decided to do was take a little bit of a rusted plate, or metallic one, put it on the back for that little exhaust. Because other than that, it was just a black color, didn't have any detail. And of course, the main part, the most interesting, is actually the thing he grips cars with. And that's right here. So what I did, I took a watch, a little attachment to it, painted it, so I didn't paint this part, but everything else. Then I took some metallic looking plastic, cut it up to make like the little teeth, and then you have this movement right here, as you see. Now of course it doesn't open, couldn't get that detail, and it doesn't stick. I tried to put some glue to maybe make it in position, but overall it just stays like this. Why did you see you can get that look? Just can't grip, but you know, I was mostly going just for aesthetic, something to display, not really to play, but yeah. And also last thing I did was just add a little touch of red for the tail lights, just to finish off the look. There we are, perfect. Next we have Axel. Now he came out first in Twisted Metal 2, but also was in Twisted Metal 3. And I figured, you know, it'd be just nice, kind of. So I based him off Twisted Metal 2, but overall he's in other games. I'll start off with use the metal. I used the old construction set to assemble the wheels, and luckily I found the perfect size. So this character wasn't even going to be until I found this. This was originally blue, so I had to paint it a little silver, give it a metallic look instead, and as well as paint on the inside. This thing I actually attached a little metallic weight to kind of keep the vehicle down, because otherwise Axel would just kind of, as you spin it, go back and forth or upside down, which wasn't really good. And at the same time it kind of provides more of a heavier look. Then I added the 2 machine guns and painted a little hole for the turrets to give it more realism, as well as attach some little sniper scopes that I ripped off from a little old toy gun. Repainted them silver, added a little black dot. Unfortunately I didn't have any characters that were on this scale or anything, so the hardest part was pulling off. So I took a really old like a soldier action figures, really tiny ones, not the small ones, the toy soldiers, but the really tiny ones, like micro scale. Had to like basically trim off the arms and then use a foil, basically foil, and build the arms. So if you kind of see, there's a little bit of foil there. It doesn't look too good aesthetically, but you know, it just resembles the look, is the best I had to do with. And I aimed to give him blue jeans with the shoes and attach, but that's about the best I can get. And it pulls off the look fairly well. In some parts, not really too happy with the character, the way it turned out, but from a distance, and the vehicle itself looks very, very good. Next, I built Outlaw, basically from Twisted Metal 2 and a mix of 3, so it's kind of like in the in-between from what I had a vehicle. And all I did was, originally was a fully black police car. I had to paint the little chassis or the body white color. Also had to add the little machine guns, repaint them silver to differentiate from the black, otherwise they don't look too good. Add a little paint to the headlights, just give it a little more definition. As well as the lights, this was originally red, so I had to paint the other one a little bit blue, and the middle part metallic just to separate, but man, it really pulled off the look really well. And finally, of course, a little bit of the tail lights, as you see right there, just a little red touch really makes it work. Without it, it's just black, it just wouldn't work. Up next, I have Spectre from Twisted Metal 3. Now, this car was a little bit of an interesting story as it was inverted. And what I mean by that, originally it was white and the stripes were blue, so it wouldn't pull off the look. The vehicle was right, but the look was inverted. So I literally had to paint this blue, and blue was a hard color to work with, because as you start painting, it starts to look like a mix between white and blue or a very light blue. So to pull off that dark blue look, I had to add 3 paints, another one until it worked, and use a fan. It worked. For the stripes right here, what I did, since I couldn't really paint it as nicely, and just pull it off, and to be safe, what I took was a little tape, cut it up, and then try to put it together. So a little bit off, as you can see, on some parts, but I got it as close as I could to pull off the look. The machine guns, I decided to keep them black, just overall, because I think it works with the blue. Painted the taillights silver, the headlights silver and the taillights red. Pull off the look, because before it wasn't there, it was just a plain car, so I don't put much detail in it. But yeah, Twisted Metal 3 wasn't that popular of a game, but the vehicles in it, I thought were pretty cool. And besides, that's what I had. Could have went with the other one, but I didn't have the vehicle to work with. So that was more of a project aesthetically. And I pulled it off. Some people like Twisted Metal 3, so pretty sure if you like it, give it a like. Maybe I'll make more, maybe not. We'll see. Next is Firestarter, also from Twisted Metal 3, and mainly the reason I did this vehicle because I had something very similar to it, and it would be nice to try something out with fire. So basically I had to add a yellow, red, and orange to pull off that flaming look. A hot rod. Added the little flamethrower, which was actually built of multiple pieces I glued together and gave him a silver wash in a way. Painted the tail lights a bit. And overall, simple vehicle. So this part was also like glass black, so I had to repaint it as well on the metal part. Originally it was a brownish color, so I had to paint it black, and then I had to paint it over with the fire again. Added the two little torrents, made them a little smaller just to give it more variety and fit for a hot rod, so it's not exactly on point but close enough. It's more of a custom, so based off Twisted Metal 3 but kind of its own creation. Still pretty cool. Next, Sweet Tooth, which is considered the most iconic symbol for Twisted Metal. It's kind of like Mario for Super Mario. So yeah, this one I had to base off Twisted Metal 3, but also you can say Twisted Metal 1 and 2. Just the vehicle I had. This was actually a little SWAT van I had before. That's why if you notice, you can see the little lights. Before I had to paint them white, so it's kind of a give and take, but it doesn't affect it much. Other than that, I also added the little ice cream cone right here. This part I actually painted pink to just give it a more variety. This thing I colored, so I literally took a colored sticker. Well, not a sticker, kind of like one of those notepads. Put it up so I can sticker draw the ice cream. Then added the little dots, the pink dots over the white to pull off the look. Added the little red for the tail lights. For the machine guns, just attached two long machine guns, cut some parts off, attached. And of course for the head, I would add a spring, an actual spring, as you can see it moves. And an old cheap kind of a Lego figure head mold. Though it isn't Lego, it's another one. And part of the machine gun, I took it off, painted it red to provide the nose, and also did the little paint job. A small brush. It was a little hard to pull off, but the look pulled off right. Now I didn't have a flame. I was first thinking using like a cotton swab, but then since it's already a Lego figurine, why not add a little fire piece to it? So right there, maybe you can see in better detail. It just looks like that. So from a distance. Up next is Junkyard Dog from Twisted Metal Black. Now, this one had a bit of an interesting story and a lot of pieces to go with it. Well, originally, this whole truck was blue, so I had to paint the back red, the front white. There were no lights, so I literally had to take it off from an older toy, and this is also what I used here. So an old pickup truck. Added these, had to break them up, add a little bit of a silver piece for the little sirens or little lights. The machine guns, I had to actually break off two parts from a bigger gun, add these to kind of create the little bullet effects, because based off the vehicle it had little machine guns. Here, just a little bumper that I remember it had, so it was a little bit hard to pull off because Twisted Metal Black was a lot darker, but also as well as a lot more detail. It wasn't just two machine guns attached. Each vehicle had more personality and unique kind of way everything worked. So yeah, it's basically that part, and for of course the little hook, I also painted this part red, attached this, so kind of had to make it flow. I literally had to cut this up just to make it so it's a little loose on here because it kind of just fits on as a look. And of course, instead of just having a hook, he had the spike ball that he would launch at other opponents. So I literally took some tin foil and then little tiny spikes of like plastic. So I had a little flakes, put them in with super glue, and then give it this slight metallic wash, like a gray paint. So it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but in some ways it also works. That's something you would launch. So overall, pretty satisfied. I think it looks pretty decent. Definitely, I mean, once you see this, you can say, you know where this is from. It's not exactly the right model, but close enough to the point where it's like, yeah, this is a Junkyard dog, definitely. So I'm pretty happy with that. Next is Yellow Jacket, based off Twisted Metal Black as well. And this one also was an interesting combination. The color was very difficult to pull off. It was originally on a blue color. Yellow is another really hard color to work with. Like I said, it's a different yellow than I did for Mr. Slam, so I can compare them both. So you see it's a little bit of a different color. One is more yellow, construction pure yellow. The other one's more of like a taxi type yellow. But mainly, what did I do? This one actually came already pre-silver, so it was a silverish color. The taxi logo on the top, I had to tinily use a little pen to draw and attach this little thing. This came from a little piece of rubber from a watch. It's a little tiny piece. The headlights, I painted silver. The tail lights, I painted red, as always. Now for the look, how do I pull off that little stripe? I literally had to cut a little strip similar how I did to Spectre, just a little bit smaller, and then draw a little checkerboard. So black, white, cut it up, and then make a duplicate on the other side. So it's not onto part, but close enough. But when you see this from a distance, it looks good. Of course, now he had also spikes that would come out, but I didn't want to put it off because that was just more of a special. It wouldn't be always on. And besides, more typically, you know, when you think of Twisted Metal, you would think of a vehicle like this for Yellow Jacket without the spikes. So just something really cool I wanted to show you. Next is Roadkill, also from Twisted Metal Black. And when you think of Roadkill, you know, you think of a car that's laying in the junkyard or has been abandoned for a while. So on top of the green that I pulled off here, as you see for the main color, I also had to put a bit of rust in the pieces that come off. And how I would do that is actually I would scratch off the original paint, which overall besides was purple, and it was just a silver color. So I was like thinking, you know, it doesn't really look like rust, so I took a little bit of a brown color and added just a little bit of a dab on the tips. And surprisingly, that really pulls off the rusted look really well. On here, as well as on this side and on the back, as you see right there. Also painted the little license plate, just a little bit of silver. The tail lights, a little bit of red, and also just a little bit of silver flakes to give it a little wash so it's scratched off. On the top, I also attached these little two things, forgot where, but from like some plastic pieces to pull the look off. They were originally black, painted them silver. Then for the doors, I decided, since it was a different bit of color and to give it more definition, I actually took off a metal sheet that was already rusted and scratched up and just kind of glued it on there. Cut it up and to pull off the look. And the main part, the one I was really interested to do, was the machine gun, because the way his machine gun works is it goes through the window. So I literally had to break the glass, but do it so it wouldn't break everything. So it was a little bit tricky with just sheer amount of luck to pull it off, and surprisingly it worked really well. Then I had to rebuild the machine gun, put it in and glue it inside somehow. So you put it in, kind of go work around it. And since it was like it had two little turrets, I had to add one and then the other one. So it was a bit of a construction and paint later on, but also worked. And of course I painted the other license plate and the little headlights. Unfortunately though, one part that also would be for realistic, he would have this little thing that attaches and comes up for the little missiles. But you know, I didn't really like that look too much, and I figured it would just fall apart. Wasn't that worth it? So I kept it like that, and overall, other than that, it's almost a full replica. You just fix up the wheels, it's almost spot on. Now I saved the best for last, and this is the one where I put a lot of detail almost to a T, and that is Crazy 8 from Twisted Metal Black. And originally this car was fully black color, and what I did was I had to paint it a reddish orange to pull off that look, as you see right here. So overall, of course, I also painted the headlights, and of course he had this little girder thing that you would slam from a construction site. I took this off from a watch, painted it brown, and the little straps that of course attached to it, I used a little cardboard box, very tiny piece I would cut up and glue it over to pull off the look. Unfortunately, because the way the vehicle was designed, as you see right here, just had to glue it on there. It's not as realistic when you look at it from that angle, but it pulls the look off, and then I just had to glue it on to the tip. So moving on, also I cut out and put a little sticker of the 8 on this side, so like an 8 ball and an 8 ball on here, and try to get them about the same level and the same size. So it's a little bit tricky, because you know, you don't want one side looking bigger than the other one. So a bit of measuring. And same the way I did with Spectre from Twisted Metal 2. I added the stripes out of a white tape, so sometimes they do come off. They look a little bit off in some parts because I would have to cut them up and place them. But for the main look, they look just right. So the stripes, especially in the back, as you can see, maybe a bit of the tape came off, so just put it down. And going on this side, I also added the 2 wheels that were on the back. Since I didn't have wheels that small from an old toy car, I literally had to take a scalpel and cut it up in half. And the problem was, how do I make the wires? Do I use a chain or a rope? And then what I decided to do was take those things you get when you buy a product in the thing, and then you just take it off, kind of holds the place together. Didn't look good by itself, but when you twist each part and you go over and over, it almost starts to resemble a chain, and the silver really complements it. So it was a perfect combination. So what I did, I wrapped it up and then glued it onto the back. And finally, the machine gun, which also was more like a little minigun. Luckily I had the pieces I took off from a little ammo clip, took the barrel to make this part, and the reason I like it because it had the bullets, so it pulls off that look very nice. And that's it, guys. That's all the little vehicles I did. It took a little more, of course. This took more than one day. Did this in about maybe 3 days or whenever I had time. And here's the final little showcase. So guys, I wanted to ask you, out of all these vehicles, which one is your favorite? Personally, I like the Twisted Metal Black ones because they're more realistic, but as well as I like Sweet Tooth, Axel, and of course Mr. Slam. Though I like them all, those are the ones that mostly stand out for me. I don't know which ones you like, so let me know in the comments which one you like, or if you like the whole video in general, what you like, what you didn't like about it. So it was a little bit of a different, even though I do more technically fitness videos, I also have an artistic side, and I figured why not do something like this. So something cool to share, otherwise no one gets to see it. So yep, well, other than that, guys, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.